The sun was setting over the old community field, casting long shadows across the grass. It was quiet, except for the rhythmic thumping of a ball hitting a net. Thump. 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 This was the sound of Anya's world. At just 14 years old, she had a fire in her that most people didn't see until she stepped onto the pitch. She wasn't the biggest player, and she wasn't the loudest, but she was fast. Faster than anyone in the league. But the reason she played wasn't for the trophies or the cheers. It was for the woman sitting in the worn-out car parked by the fence, watching through the windshield with a tired smile. That woman was her mother, Maria. Life hadn't been easy for them. Since Anya's father had left when she was a baby, Maria had worn two hats. She was the mother and the father, the provider and the protector. She worked long hours at a local diner, standing on her feet for 10 hours a day, serving coffee and pancakes to people who didn't always say thank you. Her hands were rough from scrubbing dishes, and her back ached constantly, but whenever she talked about Anya, her eyes lit up. She didn't complain about the struggle. She only worried about whether her daughter had enough to eat or if her cleats were still in good enough shape to play. Anya knew all of this. She saw the way her mother winced when she took off her shoes at night. She saw the pile of unpaid bills on the kitchen table that Maria tried to hide under a newspaper. It broke Anya's heart. She felt a heavy weight on her shoulders, a pressure that had nothing to do with sports. She knew that her talent was their ticket out. It wasn't just a game, it was a lifeline. "Come on, honey, it's getting dark," Maria called out from the car, rolling down the window. Her voice was gentle, but Anya could hear the exhaustion underneath it. Anya trapped the ball with her foot one last time and tucked it under her arm. She jogged over to the car, sweat dripping down her face. As she climbed into the passenger seat, the smell of the diner fries and coffee still clung to her mother's clothes. It was a smell that usually made Anya feel safe, but today, it just made her feel sad. "Did you see that last shot, Mom?" Anya asked, trying to sound excited. "It went right into the top corner." Maria laughed softly as she turned the key in the ignition. The engine sputtered before roaring to life. "I saw it, baby. You're getting so fast. I can hardly keep my eyes on you." "That's the point, Mom," Anya grinned, looking out the window as the street lights flickered by. On the drive home, they didn't talk much. There was a comfortable silence between them, but also a tension that Anya couldn't shake. The regional championships were in 2 days. It was the biggest tournament of the year. College scouts would be there. Coaches from top academies would be watching with their clipboards and stopwatches. This was the moment Maria had been working toward for years, scrimping and saving every penny to pay for travel fees and uniforms. They pulled into the driveway of their small, aging house. The paint was peeling, and the porch steps sagged a little, but it was home. As they walked inside, Anya noticed her mother moving slower than usual. Maria didn't head straight to the kitchen to start dinner like she normally did. Instead, she sat heavily at the kitchen table and closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. "Mom?" Anya asked, dropping her gym bag by the door. "Are you okay?" "Just tired, sweetie," Maria said without opening her eyes. "The lunch rush was crazy today. My feet are killing me." Anya walked over to the refrigerator and grabbed a bottle of water. She placed it gently in her mother's hand. "You work too hard." Maria opened her eyes and looked at her daughter. She reached out and tucked a stray piece of hair behind Anya's ear. "It's worth it. You know that, right? Every shift, every hour, it's all worth it to see you play. You have a gift, Anya. A gift that I never had. The guilt washed over Anya again. She knew her mother was lying about being okay. She knew the pain was worse than she let on. But Maria never wanted to be a burden. She wanted to be the strong one. The next day at school, Anya couldn't focus. She kept thinking about the scout who would be at the game on Saturday. His name was Mr. Henderson. He was famous for finding young talent and offering them full scholarships to elite sports academies. For other kids, a scholarship was just a bonus. For Anya, it was the only way she would ever go to college. Her mother made enough to put food on the table, but there was no way she could afford tuition. During practice that afternoon, the coach noticed Anya was off. She was missing easy passes and tripping over her own feet. Anya. Coach blew the whistle. Get your head in the game. What is going on with you today? Anya stopped running, her chest heaving. She looked at her coach, then at the other girls on the team. They all had brand new gear, fancy water bottles, and parents who drove nice SUVs. Anya looked down at her own cleats, which were held together by strong tape and super glue in a couple of spots. I'm fine, coach, she mumbled. Just tired. He didn't look convinced, but he waved her back into the drill. Focus. The game on Saturday is everything. Don't waste your talent. Everything. The word echoed in her mind. The game was everything. If she played well, Mr. Henderson would offer her a spot. If she got a scholarship, Maria could quit one of her jobs. She could finally see a doctor about her back. They could fix the car. They could breathe. That night, Anya lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She could hear her mother in the next room, coughing. The house was quiet, but the walls felt like they were closing in. She made a silent promise to herself. She didn't care about the score, she didn't care about being the MVP. She was going to play harder than she had ever played in her life. She was going to run until her legs gave out, because she wasn't just playing for a trophy. She was playing for her mom's freedom. The morning of the game arrived with a gray sky and a light drizzle. It wasn't the best weather, but the atmosphere in the house was electric. Maria was up early, humming a tune as she made pancakes. She had taken the day off work, using a precious sick day to be there. She even put on her lucky red scarf, the one she wore to every important match Anya had ever played. You ready for this? Maria asked, flipping a pancake. Anya nodded, tying her shoelaces. I was born ready, Mom. They drove to the stadium in silence. When they arrived, the parking lot was already filling up. This was a big deal. Anya could see the nervous energy in the air. She grabbed her bag and looked over at her mom. Maria was trying to smile, but Anya saw her hand gripping the steering wheel tight. Her knuckles were white. Maria was just as scared as she was, maybe even more. Because while Anya had to run and kick, Maria had to sit there and hope is a heavy thing to carry. Let's go win this, Anya said, opening the car door. Maria took a deep breath and nodded. Let's go. As they walked toward the field, the wind picked up, blowing the rain sideways. Anya felt a chill go down her spine, but it wasn't from the cold. It was the feeling of destiny. She stepped onto the grass, looked up at the stands, and found her mother's face immediately. Maria was waving, looking proud despite the worry in her eyes. Anya put her hand over her heart and pointed at her mom. A silent signal. I'm doing this for you. The referee blew the whistle to start warm-ups, and Anya began to stretch. She looked at the opposition. They looked bigger, stronger, and meaner. But they didn't have what she had. They didn't have a reason that burned as hot as hers. She tightened her laces one last time and stood up. The game was about to begin, and neither of them knew that their lives were about to change in a way they never expected. All Anya knew was that she had to make her mother proud. That was the only thing that mattered. The evening air was crisp, the kind that bites at your nose when you step outside. Anya sat at the kitchen table, her math book open in front of her, but the numbers were just a blur. Her mind was racing, replaying the moves she wanted to make in the game. It was just 2 days away. In the other room, she could hear her mother getting ready. Maria was putting on her coat for the late shift at the diner. "I made you some pasta, it's in the fridge," Maria called out, her voice sounding a little breathless. "Don't stay up too late studying, okay? You need your rest for the big game." Anya got up and walked to the door. She watched her mother struggling with the zipper of her old coat. The fabric was thin, and Anya noticed for the first time how small Maria looked inside it. "Let me help," Anya said, stepping forward and zipping it up. Maria smiled, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "Thanks, sweetie. I'm just moving a little slow today. Old age catching up with me." "You're not old, Mom," Anya said firmly. "You're just tired. Why don't you call in sick just for tonight?" Maria shook her head gently. "You know I can't do that. We need every extra penny right now for those new cleats you wanted for next season. Besides, I'll be fine. Just a few hours of serving coffee." With a final hug and a promise to be back before midnight, Maria walked out into the dark. Anya watched from the window until the tail lights of the car disappeared around the corner. She didn't know it then, but that would be the last time she saw her mother walk out that door with that same easy stride. 3 hours later, the phone rang. It was a shrill, piercing sound that cut through the silence of the house. At first, Anya ignored it, thinking it was just a wrong number. But it rang again. And again. Her heart started to hammer against her ribs. Her mother never called during a shift, she was too busy. Anya picked up the receiver. "Hello. Is this Maria's daughter?" a strange voice asked. It was a man, and he sounded hurried, serious. "Yes, this is Anya." "Who is this?" "This is Officer Miller. I'm at the city hospital. There's been an accident involving your mother." The room seemed to tilt. The floor felt like it was dropping away. Is she okay?" "She's alive," the officer said, but his tone didn't offer much comfort. "You need to get down here right away." The ride to the hospital felt like a nightmare. Anya didn't remember how she got there. She just remembered the blur of streetlights and the cold feeling in her stomach. When she burst through the emergency room doors, the smell of antiseptic hit her hard. A nurse led her to a small waiting area where an older woman was sitting. It was Mrs. Gable, their neighbor. "Oh, Anya," Mrs. Gable said, standing up and wrapping her arms around her. "Thank goodness you're here." "What happened?" Anya asked, her voice shaking. "Where is she?" "It was the rain," Mrs. Gable explained, her eyes red from crying. "A truck lost control coming around the bend. Her car spun out. The impact it was bad on the driver's side." Just then, a doctor in blue scrubs walked in. He looked tired. He looked at Anya with a softness that scared her more than anything else. "Are you the family?" "I'm her daughter," Anya whispered. "I'm Dr. Evans. We've stabilized your mother. She suffered a severe spinal injury in the collision, he said slowly, choosing his words carefully. The damage to her vertebrae is significant. We did everything we could, but the swelling has compressed the nerves. Anya stared at him, not understanding the medical words. She just needed the simple truth. Can I see her? Yes, but you need to be prepared. When Anya walked into the room, the beep of the monitors was the only sound. Her mother was lying in the bed, surrounded by tubes and machines. Her face was pale, and there were bandages on her forehead. But the worst part was her legs. They were so still. Too still. Maria always moved her feet when she was nervous, tapping them against the chair or the floor. Now, they were heavy and dead under the white sheets. Mom, Anya choked out. Maria opened her eyes slowly. They were full of pain and a heavy dose of medicine, but when they focused on Anya, they tried to smile. Hey, champ, she whispered. Her voice was raspy. Anya rushed to the bedside, taking her mother's hand. It was cold. I was so scared. I thought I lost you. I'm tough, Maria tried to joke, but then a look of deep sadness crossed her face. Anya, the doctor told me. My legs. I can't feel them, baby. The silence in the room was deafening. Anya squeezed her hand, tears streaming down her face that she couldn't stop. It's okay. We'll figure it out. You'll get better. Physical therapy, right? People recover from this stuff. Maria closed her eyes, a single tear rolling down her cheek. The doctor said it's permanent. I'm not going to walk again. The words hung in the air like a heavy stone. Permanent. Over the next 24 hours, the reality of the crash set in like a storm. The hospital bills started piling up before they even left the building. Maria needed surgery, a long hospital stay, and then a rehabilitation center. The costs were astronomical. Anya sat by the window in the hospital room, looking out at the city. She thought about the game. It was supposed to be tomorrow. Her coach had called the hospital earlier that morning. Anya had stepped out into the hallway to take it, trying to keep her voice down. Anya, where are you? The coach had asked. We have the scout coming. The team needs you. You know this is the most important game of the year. My mom, she was in an accident, Anya had said. I can't come. I have to stay with her. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. I'm sorry to hear that, Anya. Really, I am. But you know the rules. If you don't show up for the finals, you're off the travel team. And the scout, he's not going to wait around. He has 50 other kids to watch tomorrow. If you aren't there, the scholarship offer is gone. Anya felt like she had been punched in the stomach. The scholarship wasn't just about soccer anymore. It was money. It was a future where her mother didn't have to work 2 jobs. It was a future where they could afford a wheelchair ramp and medical bills. If she stayed here with her mom, she might lose the only chance they had to escape this poverty. If she left to play the game, she was abandoning her mother when she needed her the most. Later that evening, the rest of the family arrived. Maria's sister, Anya's Aunt Clara, came in with a stern look on her face. She was a practical woman who didn't believe in dreams if they didn't put food on the table. You have to quit, Anya, Aunt Clara said bluntly while Maria was sleeping. Look at your mother. She's going to need help with everything. Getting dressed, eating, moving. Who is going to do that? You can't run off chasing a ball when your family is falling apart. She needs me, Clara argued, her voice rising. Not your fancy academy. What good is a scholarship if your mother is stuck in a bed alone? You have to grow up, Anya. Sometimes, you have to let things go. Anya looked back at her mother through the glass window of the room. Maria was fast asleep, her chest rising and falling slowly. She looked so fragile. Anya felt torn in two directions. Her heart was screaming at her to stay, to hold her mother's hand, and to never leave that room. But her brain was screaming something else. The fear of a life without opportunities, the fear of not being able to pay for her mother's care. The nurse walked by and looked at Anya. Visiting hours are over soon, dear. Anya nodded. She walked back into the room and sat in the hard plastic chair next to the bed. She took her mother's hand again. Maria's eyes fluttered open. Did you talk to your coach? Maria whispered, her voice weak. Are you getting ready for the game? Tears welled up in Anya's eyes again. She couldn't tell her mother the truth. She couldn't tell her that her aunt wanted her to quit, or that the coach was threatening to kick her off the team. Yeah, Mom, Anya lied softly. We talked. Maria tried to squeeze her hand back, but her grip was too weak. Good. You have to go. You hear me? You have to go play tomorrow. Don't let me ruin this for you. If I don't see you on that field, I'll be mad. How could she say that? How could she think about soccer when she couldn't move her toes? Anya rested her head on the side of the bed, sobbing silently. The world felt so cruel. Just when things were looking up, the bottom had fallen out. I don't want to leave you, Anya cried. You aren't leaving me, Maria whispered, drifting back to sleep. You're winning for us. Anya sat up and wiped her face. She looked at the clock on the wall. It was almost midnight. Tomorrow was the game. The scout would be there. The team was waiting. But her mother was lying there, broken. Anya looked out the window one last time at the city lights. She felt a spark of anger inside her. Anger at the truck driver, anger at the hospital bills, anger at the unfairness of it all. And then, a cold, hard resolve began to form. She wasn't just playing for fun anymore. She was playing for survival. She was playing because if she didn't know how they would survive. But the guilt was a heavy, heavy cloak to wear. The morning sun was trying to break through the gray clouds, but inside the hospital, it felt like time had stopped. Anya sat in the hard plastic chair next to her mother's bed, her soccer bag resting against her legs. She hadn't slept at all. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the car crash or heard the doctor saying the word permanent. Now, looking at her mother, Maria seemed so small under the thin white sheets. The room was quiet except for the steady beep of the heart monitor. Maria was sleeping, but her rest didn't look peaceful. Her brow was furrowed, and every now and then, a soft groan would escape her lips. Anya reached out and gently brushed a stray hair away from her mother's face. The skin felt papery and cold. This was the woman who used to carry her on her shoulders, the woman who worked until midnight to buy her a pair of cleats. Seeing her like this broke Anya's heart into a million pieces. Anya looked at the clock on the wall. It was 9 a.m. The game was scheduled for 2 p.m. She should have been at the field right now, warming up with her team, listening to the coach's speech. Instead, she was trapped in a room that smelled like antiseptic and despair. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a text from her teammate. "Where are you?" Coach is freaking out. Anya stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over the keyboard. She wanted to type "I can't come." She wanted to throw the phone in the trash and pull the chair closer to the bed. How could she leave her mother like this? What if Maria woke up and she was alone? What if the doctors needed a family member right at that moment? The guilt was eating her alive. Just then, Maria's eyes fluttered open. She blinked a few times, adjusting to the light. When she saw Anya sitting there, a weak smile appeared on her face. "Hey," Maria whispered. Her voice was raspy from the breathing tube they had removed earlier. "Hey, Mom," Anya said, forcing a smile. "How do you feel?" "Like a truck hit me," Maria joked softly, but then her face turned serious. She tried to shift her legs, but of course, nothing happened. The sadness returned to her eyes instantly. "What time is it?" "It's 9. Maria stared at Anya. "Anya, why are you still here? You need to go." "Go where?" Anya pretended not to know. "Don't do that," Maria said, her voice getting a little stronger. "It's game day. The scout is coming. This is what we've worked for." "Mom, I'm not going," Anya said, shaking her head. I can't leave you here alone. It doesn't matter. The game doesn't matter." "Of course it matters." Maria tried to push herself up, but she was too weak. She fell back against the pillow, frustrated. "Listen to me. I didn't work those double shifts for you to sit in a hospital room and watch me rot. I did it so you could have a better life. If you don't play, all that work was for nothing." Anya stood up, angry now. "How can you say that? You're hurt? You might never walk again, and you're worried about a stupid soccer game." "It's not just a game." Maria's voice cracked. Tears welled up in her eyes. "It's your future. If you stay here, you're looking at me, and all you'll see is a tragedy. Please, Anya. Go. Do it for me. I want to close my eyes and picture you on that field. Don't let me be the reason you stop dreaming." Anya turned away, unable to look at her mother. She felt like she was being torn in half. She grabbed her bag and walked out of the room, the tears streaming down her face. She just needed some air. She needed to think. She walked down the long hallway to the vending machine area, her cleats clicking loudly on the linoleum floor. She bought a bottle of water, but she didn't drink it. She just leaned against the wall and slid down to the floor. That's when she heard the voices coming from the nurse's station nearby. It was Dr. Evans talking to Aunt Clara. "The surgery went as well as we could hope," the doctor was saying. "But the recovery is going to be long and expensive." "I know," Aunt Clara's voice sounded worried. "I checked her insurance. It's good, but it won't cover the specialist rehab center she needs. It only covers the basic facility across town." "Yes," Dr. Evans agreed. "The basic facility is fine, but the specialized center has the technology that might help her regain some upper body strength faster. They have better therapists. It's $80,000 a year out of pocket. Without it, she's looking at a much harder road." Anya froze. 80,000, the number hit her like a physical punch. Her mother didn't have that kind of money. Aunt Clara didn't have it. Anya looked down at her hands. The scout from the academy wasn't just offering a spot on a team. He was offering a full education scholarship. And the rumor was, for elite players, the academy sometimes helped with family emergencies. Or at the very least, the scholarship would save them the cost of college tuition, freeing up whatever little money they had for Maria's care. Suddenly, the game wasn't just about glory. It wasn't just about making her mom proud. It was about survival. The scholarship was the only golden ticket they had left. If she stayed here, holding her mother's hand. She was being kind, but she was also dooming them to a life of poverty where they couldn't afford the care Maria needed. Anya wiped her face and stood up. The fear was still there, heavy in her chest, but underneath it, something else was growing. A fire. A cold, hard resolve. She wasn't just a player anymore. She was a provider. She had to go out there and win, not just for a trophy, but to pay for that rehab center. She walked back into the room. Maria was awake, staring at the ceiling, looking defeated. She thought Anya was going to refuse. Anya walked over to the bed and leaned down. She kissed her mother on the forehead. "You're right, Mom," Anya said, her voice steady now. "I'm going to go." Maria looked at her, surprised. "You are?" "Yeah. I'm going to win this for you," Anya said. "I'm going to get that scholarship, and when I do, I'm going to find the best doctors in the world to help you. I promise." Tears rolled down Maria's temples, disappearing into her hair. "I know you will, baby. You're the strongest person I know." Anya picked up her bag. She felt different as she slung it over her shoulder. It didn't feel like a burden anymore. It felt like armor. She looked at her mother one last time, burning the image of her face into her mind. "I'll be back after the game," Anya said. "I love you." "I love you too. Now go show them what you've got." Anya walked out of the hospital room and down the long corridor. She pushed through the glass doors and stepped out into the parking lot. The air was cool and crisp. The sky was still gray, but she didn't feel the cold. Her blood was pumping. She got into her car, the same car her mother had driven so many times, and gripped the steering wheel. She wasn't playing for herself anymore. She was playing for Maria. She was playing for the chance to fix this broken life. She put the key in the ignition and turned it. As the engine roared to life, Anya felt a single-minded focus take over. The doubt was gone. The guilt was still there, but she had pushed it down deep, using it as fuel. She was going to the field, and she was going to shock everyone. She just hoped her mom would be watching. The sky above the stadium was a bruised purple, heavy with rain that hadn't started falling yet. The air was thick and humid, the kind that makes it hard to breathe. When Anya pulled into the parking lot, her stomach churned. It was already packed with cars, parents, and players. The energy of a big tournament was buzzing everywhere, but Anya felt like she was walking through a dream. She was still seeing the white walls of the hospital and the look on her mother's face. She walked toward the locker room, her cleats clicking on the pavement. Her teammates were already there, changing into their jerseys. When Anya walked in, the room went quiet. They knew about the accident. News traveled fast in a small town. Some of them looked at her with pity, others with confusion, wondering why she was even here. "Anya," the coach said, stepping away from the whiteboard he was drawing on. He looked surprised to see her. "I heard about your mom. I didn't think you'd make it. If you need to go back." "No," Anya said, cutting him off. Her voice was hard, like steel. "I'm playing. I have to play." The coach looked at her for a long moment, searching her face. He saw the dark circles under her eyes and the tension in her shoulders. He knew she wasn't okay, but he also knew how important this was. "Okay," he said slowly. "But keep your head in the game. We need you focused." They walked out onto the field. The grass was bright green, but the clouds were rolling in fast. Anya looked up into the stands. Her eyes scanned the crowd, looking for the red scarf her mother always wore. But the spot where Maria usually sat was empty. Of course it was. Anya felt a sharp pain in her chest. She was alone. The referee blew the whistle, and the game began. From the first minute, everything felt wrong. The ball seemed heavier, the field felt bigger. Anya's legs felt like lead. Usually, she was the fastest player on the pitch, zipping past defenders like they were statues. Today, she felt slow. Her mind was drifting. Every time she kicked the ball, she saw her mother lying in the hospital bed. Every time she heard a cheer, she thought of the monitor beeping. The opposing team was rough. They were bigger, stronger, and they could sense that Anya wasn't there. They pushed her off the ball easily. They tripped her when the referee wasn't looking. 20 minutes into the game, one of their massive defenders slammed into Anya's shoulder first. Anya went down hard, face first into the wet grass. "Get up!" the coach yelled from the sideline. Anya stood up slowly, wiping mud off her cheek. She looked toward the VIP section where Mr. Henderson, the scout, was sitting. He was holding an umbrella and looking at his watch. He didn't look impressed. 10 minutes later, the disaster happened. Anya was supposed to mark a forward running down the wing, but she was a split second too late. She was thinking about the hospital bills, the 80,000. The forward crossed the ball, and their striker smashed it into the net. 1-0. "Come on, Anya. Wake up!" her captain shouted, throwing her hands up. Anya nodded, trying to shake off the fog. But it only got worse. 5 minutes before halftime, Anya received a pass in the midfield. She hesitated for just a fraction of a second, confused by the noise in her head. That hesitation was all the opposition needed. They stole the ball, counter-attacked, and scored again. 2-0. The whistle blew for halftime. The score was a disaster. The mood in the locker room was toxic. The air smelled of sweat and wet turf. The coach slammed his hand against the whiteboard. "What is going on out there?" he shouted. "We look like we've never played before. Anya, where is your head? You're missing passes you could make in your sleep." Anya sat on the bench, her head in her hands. She felt like she was drowning. She knew he was right. She was playing terribly. She was letting everyone down. She looked up and saw the scout walking past the open door, shaking his head. He was leaving. He had seen enough. Her chance was slipping away. "I'm sorry, coach," she whispered. I can't focus." The coach sighed, the anger leaving his body replaced by disappointment. "Look, I know you're going through a lot. But this is a team sport. If you aren't here 100%, you're hurting the team. I'm putting you on the bench for the second half. Lisa, you're taking Anya's spot." It felt like a physical blow, but Anya didn't argue. She nodded slowly and took off her jersey. She felt numb. She sat at the very end of the bench, staring out at the emptying stands. The rain started to fall, light at first, then heavier. It pattered against the metal roof of the dugout. The world felt gray and hopeless. She had failed. She left her mother to come here, and she had lost the game anyway. The second half started. Anya sat shivering under her jacket, watching the rain turn the field into a mud pit. Her teammates were struggling without her. Without her speed, the attack was dead. The other team was just parking the bus, keeping the ball, and running down the clock. It was painful to watch. "Please, God," Anya thought to herself. I wanted to do this for her. I wanted to win. She closed her eyes, wishing she could just disappear. Then, she felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Mr. Henderson, the scout. He was standing under an umbrella, looking down at her. "Tough game, kid," he said, not unkindly. "I'm sorry," Anya said, tears mixing with the rain on her face. "I messed up." "Talent is one thing," the scout said. "Mental toughness is another. This game, it's gone. It's a shame." He turned to walk away. Anya watched him go. It was over. Suddenly, a commotion near the front of the stands caught her eye. Because of the rain, most of the crowd had run for cover under the stadium roof. But near the fence, right at the corner of the field, a small group of people was pushing through the mud. Anya squinted through the rain. It was an older woman in a thick coat, Aunt Clara. And she was pushing a wheelchair. Anya's heart stopped. She stood up, ignoring the coach yelling at her to sit down. In the wheelchair sat Maria. She was pale as a ghost, wearing a hospital gown covered by a heavy raincoat. A blanket was draped over her legs. She looked frail and weak, but her eyes were locked on the field. She shouldn't have been out of bed. The doctor would have been furious. But there she was. Aunt Clara had parked the wheelchair as close to the fence as possible. Maria was getting soaked. The rain was dripping down her face, washing away her makeup, making her look even more fragile. But she didn't care. She had checked herself out of the hospital. She had endured the pain of the bumpy ride just to be here. Maria looked across the field, her eyes scanning the players until she found Anya standing on the sideline. Then, Maria raised her hand. She didn't wave. She just pointed a single finger at the center of the pitch. "Go." Anya felt a jolt of electricity shoot through her body. The numbness vanished. The guilt, the fear, the sadness, it didn't go away, but it suddenly became fuel. Her mother had dragged herself out of a hospital bed to watch her play. Her mother was sitting in the freezing rain because she believed in her. Anya wasn't tired anymore. She wasn't sad. She was angry at the situation, but focused like a laser. "Coach!" Anya screamed. The coach turned around. "What, I told you to sit down." "Put me in," Anya yelled, her voice loud and clear over the sound of the rain. "Put me in right now." The coach looked at her, confused. "Anya, you're off your game." "No," Anya said, her eyes blazing as she looked at her mother in the stands. "I'm ready now. Trust me." The coach looked from Anya to the woman in the wheelchair. He saw the look of determination on the girl's face. It was a look he hadn't seen all day. He looked at the scoreboard. They were losing 2-0. The game was almost over. What did he have to lose? "Fine," the coach said. "Get in there. Don't make me regret it." Anya grabbed her jersey and pulled it over her head. She ran onto the muddy field, the rain stinging her face. The referee blew the whistle to restart play. There were only 10 minutes left. The scout, who was walking to his car, stopped and turned around when he saw Anya run onto the pitch. Anya took her position. She looked one last time at the sideline. Her mother was clapping her hands slowly, her teeth chattering from the cold. "This is for you, Mom," Anya whispered. She tightened her laces. The game wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The rain was coming down in sheets now, turning the field into a brown, slippery mess. The mud sucked at Anya's cleats with every step, trying to pull her down. But she didn't care about the cold or the wet. She didn't care that her lungs were burning. The moment she stepped back onto the pitch, everything else disappeared. The fear was gone, replaced by a laser-sharp focus. The Anya who had been slow and confused in the first half was gone. In her place was a tiger. She was running faster than she had ever run in her life, fueled by adrenaline and pure love. The ball came to her feet, and a large defender from the other team immediately tried to shove her off it. Usually, Anya would have been knocked over. But today, she planted her feet and held her ground. She used her low center of gravity, spun around the player, and took off down the sideline. She was a blur of motion, splashing through puddles, leaving the defender staring in shock. With 8 minutes left, the score was still 2-0. It felt impossible. But Anya didn't believe in impossible right now. She saw a gap in the defense and passed the ball perfectly to her teammate. The teammate passed it back. Anya was now at the top of the penalty box. She didn't hesitate. She wound up her leg and struck the ball with everything she had. It flew like a rocket, dipping just under the crossbar and smashing into the net. 2-1. The stadium, which had been quiet and grumbling, suddenly came alive. The parents and friends who had taken shelter from the rain were jumping up and down. Anya didn't celebrate. She just turned around and jogged back to the center circle. She wasn't smiling. She looked over at the fence where her mother sat. Maria was clapping her hands, tears streaming down her face that were washed away by the rain. One more, Anya whispered to herself. We need one more. The opposing team was panicking now. They were bigger and stronger, but they couldn't catch Anya. She was everywhere. She was defending, she was attacking, she was winning every 50-50 ball. It was like she was possessed. With 3 minutes left, Anya's team won a corner kick. The ball was swung into the box. It bounced around wildly, players kicking and shoving. Suddenly, the ball popped out right to Anya's feet. The goalkeeper was out of position. Anya didn't miss. She blasted the ball into the roof of the net. 2-2. The noise was deafening. Her teammates piled on top of her, hugging her and shouting, but Anya was already pushing them off. She looked at the clock. The referee held up his board. 3 minutes of stoppage time. The game wasn't over. She had to win it. Then, disaster struck. In the final minute of the game, Anya was sprinting for a long pass. It was a race to the ball. The opposing defender, frustrated and desperate, didn't go for the ball. He slid in with his cleats high, catching Anya's ankle brutally. Anya went down hard, twisting awkwardly in the mud. A sharp, shooting pain went up her leg, taking her breath away. The whistle blew immediately. It was a dangerous foul. The coach ran onto the field, his face white with worry. Anya! Stay down. You're hurt? He yelled, waving to the substitute bench. No. Anya screamed. She tried to stand up, but her left leg buckled under her. She grimaced in pain, grabbing her ankle. I'm not coming off. One more play. The referee looked at her. You can barely walk, kid. Please, Anya begged, tears of pain mixing with the rain on her face. Just the free kick? Please. The referee looked at her, then at the scoreboard, and finally at her determination. He nodded slowly. Make it quick. It was the last chance of the game. The free kick was just outside the box, at a difficult angle. Anya stood over the ball, leaning heavily on her right leg. Her left ankle was throbbing, screaming in pain. She knew if she missed, the game would go to penalties, and she wouldn't be able to take a shot. She looked up at the goal. Then she looked over at the sideline. Maria was watching, her hands over her mouth, praying. Anya took a deep breath. She blocked out the pain. She blocked out the screaming crowd. She saw the path she needed to take. She ran up and struck the ball. She didn't try to kill it with power, she used a perfect, delicate chip. The ball sailed over the wall of defenders. It seemed to hang in the air forever, suspended in the gray sky. The goalkeeper scrambled back, his feet slipping in the mud. He jumped, his fingers stretching, he missed it by inches. The ball dropped gently into the top corner of the net. 3-2. The whistle blew instantly. Game over. For a second, the whole world froze. Then, the explosion of sound was louder than the thunder. It was the most incredible comeback anyone had ever seen. Her teammates tackled her, burying her in the mud. But Anya fought her way up. She didn't want the glory. She hopped on one leg, dragging her injured foot toward the fence. She reached the barrier and collapsed to her knees. Maria was there on the other side, sobbing. They reached through the chain-link fence and held hands, unable to speak, just crying and holding on to each other. A few minutes later, the rain stopped, and the sun began to peek through the clouds. A man in a sharp suit walked onto the field. It was Mr. Henderson, the famous scout. The crowd parted to let him through. He had a microphone and a camera crew with him. "Anya," the man said, his voice booming over the speakers. "That was the most incredible performance I have ever witnessed in my life. You played with a broken heart and a bad leg, and you won. We would be honored to offer you a full scholarship to the academy." The crowd cheered. This was the happy ending everyone expected. Anya took the microphone. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the cold and the adrenaline. She looked at her mother, who was being wheeled closer by Aunt Clara. "Thank you, Mr. Henderson," Anya said, her voice soft but clear. "I really appreciate the offer. It means everything to me." The reporter smiled, expecting her to say yes right away. "So, when do you sign?" Anya paused. She took a deep breath. She looked at the camera, then she looked straight at Mr. Henderson. This was the moment that would shock everyone. "I will sign the contract," Anya said. "But I have a condition. A non-negotiable condition." The reporter looked confused. "A condition? You don't make demands, Anya. You're the one getting the gift." "Yes, I am," Anya said, her voice getting stronger. "But I'm not going to leave my mother behind." She pointed to Maria in the wheelchair. "I know your academy has the best sports medicine center in the country. I know you have doctors and therapists who treat professional athletes. I want my mother to be admitted to that program. I want the same doctors who fix the players to fix her. I want her to have the best chance to walk again." The stadium went silent. You could hear a pin drop. No teenager talked to a scout like that. It was risky. It was bold. If he said no, she would lose everything. Mr. Henderson stared at her. He looked at the muddy girl standing on one leg, and then at the mother in the wheelchair. He saw a girl who valued her family more than her own career. A slow smile spread across his face. He realized that this wasn't just a talented soccer player. This was a leader. He took the microphone back. "Anya," he said. "You don't just get a scholarship. You get a full contract. And your mother gets the best care we can provide." She will be in our facility tomorrow morning. You have a deal. The crowd erupted into the loudest cheer of the day. Anya dropped the microphone and didn't even care. She hopped over to her mother and hugged her tight. The game was over, but the real life had just begun. She had shocked everyone by not just winning the trophy, but by winning a future for her mom, and as the sun finally broke through the clouds, shining down on the muddy field, Anya knew that everything was going to be okay.